Good morning, guys. Hope you guys are doing good today. We have big news breaking from Intel and Nvidia. Nvidia and Intel are up big this morning. Maybe 15 minutes ago, Nvidia came out stating that they were going to invest $5 billion in Intel at $23.28 per share. You can see Nvidia reacting favorably to this news. It's up to 175. Intel's definitely reacting favorably. It's all the way up to $33 a share. So Nvidia, Intel shooting up on this news. Today we have jobless claims, unemployment filings going live at 8:30 along with the Philly Fed Index, I think, as well as, yeah, I think it's just the Philly Fed Index. But that's the first look we're going to get at unemployment since the rate cut yesterday. So we'll see if unemployment's still looking weak. It's expected at 240,000, which is a pivot down, which is a pullback from last time. And yeah, we'll see what we get. Does the market, we'll do a poll after yesterday's rate cut. Does the market close red or green today? Actually, I think it's pretty obvious we're going to close. I mean, you never really know. How about we'll just ask, are you bullish or bearish? Because we're up already, so I don't want to ask if it's just going to be red or green, because I think it's pretty, the edge of green is going to be much higher. Also, just here's some breaking news. I've been drinking decaf coffee for freaking 4 days now, oblivious, you know, and I love my wife, Carol, but sometimes I don't understand, you know. She got mad that I was giving her decaf for the last 4 days. I was drinking decaf for the last 4 days, and apparently it makes so much sense now. You know, it does honestly make sense. But she put, we drink a specific type of coffee. She put a decaf version of that coffee right next to the coffee maker, and the decaf was very, very small. And so when we ran out of our previous coffee, which we did pretty quick, I just kind of started using the new coffee that I thought she bought. And apparently it was decaf. Who knew, man? It makes so much sense. I've been so tired the last 3 days in the morning. You guys have seen me yawn and stretch. It's because I'm drinking freaking decaf coffee. Plain decaf coffee. Never, you know. This coffee's better. Anyways, just wanted to report that news. But yeah, Intel, Nvidia rip it up. We're at almost $32 a share for Intel. We got all the way up to 33.40s. Nasdaq's following it. Nvidia's following it. Oh, I did get headaches, bro. I've had headaches for the last 3 days, man. Honestly, that's how we actually figured it out. Because my wife and I were laying in bed last night. And we were like, man, I was like, she's like, I got a headache. And I was like, I do too. I was like, I don't know what's going on. I was like, man, my head hurts. And she was like, John, go make sure you're not giving us decaf coffee. And I was like, why would I be giving anybody decaf coffee? Why would you even buy decaf coffee? I said, nobody here drinks coffee for the taste. Why would we drink decaf, you know? And she's like, no, just go check. And so then sure enough, I go check, and yep, we've been drinking decaf coffee. I don't even know why she bought it, personally, but I'm just glad to have normal coffee today. Yeah, quantum stocks running a little bit today. Again, yesterday we cut rates by 25 basis points. We also updated the dot plot to the expectation of 3 rate cuts this year, meaning yesterday, October, and December are going to be the 3 cuts that we'll probably be doing this year. Nike was upgraded at RBC. At RBC, PGR was downgraded at Wells Fargo. We had some other news come out this morning. Amex unveiled updated U.S. consumer and business platform cards, 3.5 thousand annual value. We had a lot of news come out this morning, honestly. The big news is Nvidia investing $5 billion into Intel. That's the big news. We had some other stuff come out too. Meta has in recent months approached a number of media names about potentially licensing their articles for AI tools, according to the Wall Street Journal, citing sources. Deutsche Bank reiterated 2025 target above 10% ROTE and under 65% cost income First half revenue guided at 16.3 billion euros. First half operating expenses were 10.1 billion euros. The company says German fiscal stimulus is to drive significant GDP growth from 2026 onward. We also have the Bank of Japan rate decision due tomorrow, as well as triple witching day tomorrow also. So again, in reaction to the Fed, Treasury yields have pulled back. If we take a look at yields this morning, honestly, yields have not pulled back that much. Yields are actually higher with the market, I guess. But let me refresh this, make sure this is right. Yeah, yields spiked after the Fed meeting yesterday. So yields are actually spiking here. Gold, kind of neutral. The Nasdaq's running up big. The VIX, gold is up to 3,700. The VIX currently at 14.78. So the VIX is actually lower than it was pre. And again, we've been watching the VIX. We've been watching gold. I'm interested in gold from here. But essentially, I think a lot of people are optimistic because the Fed acknowledged the labor report weakness that we've seen. And you know, the thing that really spiked markets was when Jerome Powell started speaking, and he said that essentially this is probably going to begin the start of a longer easing cycle. And so that's making people optimistic that this is not just a one and done cut, that instead this is going to be the start of a more deep easing cycle, and we're probably going to cut 3 times this year as of now. And now that's always subject to change. We could always change, but that is essentially what the news is here. So yeah, Intel, Nvidia ripping markets up this morning. Yeah, I don't put anything in my coffee. It's just black, plain coffee. I like the bitterness of coffee. I think the bitterness wakes you up, but it makes so much sense. I've been sleepy for the last few days. I think I was even quiet yesterday. It makes so much sense, you know. I thought about using this opportunity to just not drink coffee. Some people say you have more energy when you don't drink coffee. So I thought about using this opportunity, since I was basically off coffee, to do it. But nah, I need my morning coffee. Yeah, so Nvidia is going to invest $5 billion into Intel. AMD is down almost 4.6%. TSM is down 2.6%. Apple is up 0.4%. Reportedly explores possible tests for foldable iPhones in Taiwan. Google is up 1.5%. China drops Google antitrust probe during U.S. trade talks, so that's why Google's up. NUE is down 4%. They cut Q3 profit guidance, citing lower profitability across all 3 op segments versus Q2. ENTB is up 84% on penny stock runs. I think this is a penny stock. ETNB. Well, it was a penny stock. Now it's kind of ripping past this. But yeah, ENTB is up ridiculous amounts, 84%. After Roche agreed to acquire company for up to $3.5 billion, which is $14.50 per share, which is where it went up. U.S. judge ruled it violated online shopping protection law. Meta launched first consumer-ready smart glasses with a built-in display at $799. Honestly, I might buy some of these smart glasses. Honestly, those look kind of cool. All right, India just reported news CEA actually said this. The Indian government chief economic advisor says solution to the tariff issue between India and the U.S. is likely to be reached in the next 8 to 10 weeks, is the news. So that just dropped. Tesla looking strong. Yeah, the VIX is down, slow. Tesla at 430s. Tesla's had a really good couple days for sure. All right, looking at our poll, 77% are bullish this morning, 23% are bearish. Yeah, we got jobless claims, unemployment filings. I'm going to title the stream that now, and I'm going to put a timer up. Oh, wait, this is not right. Hold on. Not the right time. That's 7. We need 7:30, so we need an hour and 4 minutes. There's the timer until jobless claims, unemployment filings come out. I don't really know, man. I think we're up a lot already. Maybe we correct a little bit, but I don't know. We'll have to wait and see, but I really don't know. Yeah, so rate cuts are here. Does the market hold, guys? I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what we're gonna get today. I'm waiting to see if we get some better news. Yeah, Nasdaq's got a dip here. I'm curious about buying it. I just don't know if I trust it. The market's volatile, but I'm thinking about buying this pullback, see if we get something. What do you guys think? ASML, another semiconductor running big. Yeah, it's probably running big on microchip news. Up to 934s. AMD is tanking down a little bit here. All the way down to 150s from 160s. Probably because of competition with Intel. Right? Like Intel getting a lot of funding, a lot of interest, a lot of support from the president and all this different stuff. It's probably not good for AMD. I should have bought it right here. Remember, I was just talking about it. I kind of want it right here more, but it's okay. All right, we got one of the ECB members speaking. Did the president ever reference the rates? I mean, he tweeted a bunch, but I don't think any of it was in reference to the cut. So, keep looking. Again, Nvidia's about to invest $5 billion into Intel. Intel's running, Nvidia's running, and AMD, the competitor to Intel, is falling down. ECB's Escriva says there are signs that the FX system is less biased towards one currency. There's opportunity for bigger international role for the euro, and this is the massive expansion of stablecoins could reinforce US dollar. Again, AMD shares are down pretty significantly. Yeah, Nvidia taking a stake in Intel is not good for AMD. That's why AMD's down like this. I'm looking at other breaking news. Again, we had the Indian government advisor says solution to the tariff issue between the India and the US is likely to be reached in the next 8 to 10 weeks. We got that going on. Gold's still pulling back a little bit on market strength here. The VIX is down as well today. Yeah, ARM. I'm looking at ARM. ARM is falling with it. This is pretty similar. If you look at ARM right here, and then you look at AMD's downfall, if it started at the same time, it's probably for the same reason. And they look very, very similar here. So again, just to put this into perspective, AMD's downfall started at around 6 a.m. market time. ARM's downfall started at around 6 a.m. market time. So these are both dropping probably because they're competitors with Intel right here. And so them being in competition with a company that's getting a $5 billion investment plus a lot of support from the president and others is making these two drop. And they both started falling at the same time, right when the news about the investment into Intel came out. So that's what this is. Quad witching to Marvel, Marvel, which apparently I've been pronouncing wrong this whole time, up even more. Again, my average price in Marvel is $62. It's at $72. I will take it. Green is good there. Yeah, I don't know if we're bullish or bearish, Average Joe. I really don't. I mean, we're obviously bullish right now for most things, but yeah. Nvidia's flying up right now. Again, we got jobless claims unemployment filings in about 55 minutes. That's going to be along with today we have the Bank of England rate decision that came out at 7. Which was about 35 minutes ago. Bank of Canada rate decision. Where they were expected to pause rates. Yeah, so, or they cut rates to 2.5% as they're ready to cut again if risks rise. It's the first time they've cut rates since March. I was showing that they were expected. I don't really follow the Bank of Canada. I was showing they were expected to pause at 4%. But we also have jobless claims, unemployment filings, and the Philly Fed Manufacturing Index for September showing up today. Jobless claims, unemployment, Philly Fed Index coming out right at 8:30. Jobless claims expected at 240. Philly Fed expected at 1.7. Last time it was negative 0.3. Hey, thank you, Danny, for the donation, brother. I appreciate it. Thank you, sir. Shout out to Danny. Thank you for the... What is that, 5 pounds? Yeah, 5 pounds. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Thank you for the 5 quid, bro. Thank you, sir. Because we depend too much on Taiwan Semiconductors. Let's take a look at TSM here. Again, they're dropping down on this news too. So. What's up, Sam? We depend too much on Taiwan Semiconductors, hoping Intel can do better. Yeah, I mean, they're all dropping. Again, this is all at 6 o'clock, right? The news came out at 6. Look, here's 6 on Intel. Here's 6 on TSM. News showed up. They're definitely AMD, TSM are both, and ARM are all down on this news. TSM is way more affected by this. Yeah, I mean, maybe. Markets are down. I'm thinking about buying this dip. I might try to buy this dip again right now. Let's see. We're going to try to buy this dip, just small. It's a risky bet, but it's a small risk trade too. Or, I'm sorry, it's not a risky bet. That contradicts itself. It's a small trade. I think I'm going to use a stop loss at about 720 right here. I might actually add a little bit more to it. My stop loss is going to be around... here. Hey, good job, Cheryl. Yeah, apparently I left a combine going yesterday and I was completely oblivious to this. I don't know what happened, dude. But what's honestly funny to me is that whatever direction, I don't even remember what direction I took in the combine. I must have left it there. It stayed around up until like close to the market close yesterday. And so it dealt with all the volatility of the Fed meeting, and then it just kind of, something happened. I don't know. It was impressive for a combine. I'd love to see which direction I had. I can't remember. I don't know if I was buying gold or something, or I don't know what I was doing. All right, so Hassan said the Fed decision was the first good step. Traders see 45 basis points of cuts by the end of 2026 now for the Bank of England. Again, the big news affecting markets is Intel getting $1 billion invested in them by Nvidia. Bad for TSM, bad for AMD, bad for ARM. They're all reacting negatively. Obviously, Intel and Nvidia are reacting favorably to this. And we'll see what happens. You know, I don't know if I want to give it this long. And so I might add 2 more down here and then tighten up my stop a significant amount right here. So I'm going to add here and then tighten up my stop pretty significant amount. So like probably. I actually had a green yesterday. What's up, Graph? TSMC is a monopoly of manufacturing the most advanced chips. Intel is not even close to compete with the help of Nvidia. Meanwhile, the gap. I mean, they could, with the help of Nvidia, they could do a lot of stuff. You know? If they get Nvidia's help, that's a lot. That's a big push, you know. And I think there's a reason we're reacting so favorably to it. Yeah, it's a pretty big investment. Yeah, 100%. Regarding FOMC, I was right about just adding more 24. Yeah, I mean, again, I had people with me all week, and again, I'm not against you. Like, say whatever you guys want to say. I might tell you you're wrong, but it's all love here, guys. And that, you know. But I had people telling me that we would cut 50 basis points. I had people telling me we were gonna raise rates. I had people telling me we were gonna pause. Alright, I'm gonna have to just go ahead and cut this. This is a big drop, quick. Not worth the drop. Still pretty small on the day, and we're green on every account we have. So NEC director Hassett says the Fed rate decision is a good first step, and they framed it as prudent given income data expects 4% GDP growth without inflation. We just had that news show up. We're starting to pull back here. I'm wondering if this is news related. I see Waymo and Google are partnering to bring robotaxi to public transit, beginning with a suburb of Phoenix, according to Wall Street Journal. The market's falling pretty fast right here. I'm trying to see why. We're getting breaking news. Hassett says economic growth is coming without inflation in a CNBC interview. Oil India execs say in talks with other state retailers to supply fuels from expanded refinery. There's some reason the market's dropping right now. I don't think it's Hassett, but something's going down in the markets. Not Nvidia's dipping down some, but I don't know. Maybe we just got bought right back up here. Look at this. Weird price action here. Bounce right there, the 200 exponential. Let's see if the rest of these start to bounce or what happens. Again, we got jobless claims unemployment in about 45 minutes. 45 minutes. Until I ever get their act together and compete with TSM. I mean, they could. Adding 2 more is wild. Yeah, I needed to shorten my stop though, so I was okay with adding 2 more and then shortening my stop, which is what I did. It's okay. Maybe a little too early for me to trade, I think is what it is. Again, apparently I've been drinking decaf for 4 days here. I don't know if you guys heard this, but apparently I've been drinking decaf for four days. Still kind of mad about it. Who knew, man? Makes so much sense. Hassett says Moran's analysis is heartfelt and not affected by politics. Hassett, if you guys remember, Moran was pushing for 50 yesterday, just to put it out there. I think he dissented as well, if I remember correctly. Yeah, so yesterday, Stephen Moran was the only dissenter. He voted against 25 because he preferred a much larger 50 basis point cut. He's a new governor, having just confirmed by the Senate on Monday, if you guys remember. So, all right, we're in another trade here. I'm gonna go ahead and take, you know, a chunk of this off. Probably sit on maybe just one right here and let this ride back up. We got a bounce. It was right around the 200 exponential. So we're kind of flat on the day now. But you'll love to see it. If we get a little bit more here. I want to let this run. I can hold the rest break even, and we're going to be green on this trade no matter what. So that's probably what I'll do. We're up 25 ticks, 27 ticks. That's enough time to let it run a little bit more. Hopefully here we get a bounce in Nvidia. Oh, I noticed. I was tired, had headaches. Oh, I noticed. My wife and I were sitting in bed yesterday. And again, both of us were like, man, we got headaches and we've been really tired the last few days. What could be going on? And then my wife was like, hey, you're not making decaf in the morning. All right, so we're still up. I'm gonna go ahead and liquidate this if I can actually right now. I think this is fine. Yeah, so we're about flat on the day now. We're green on all three of our funded accounts too. Chat GPT said it could be okay for 1 to 2 years, but could be impacted in short-term risks and 2 to 5 medium-term. 5-year plus is their long-term risk for TSM. Yeah. Yeah, I could tell the difference. You just don't put it 2 to 2 together. It becomes part of your routine so much. I didn't understand why I was tired, is what it was. Again, I blame my wife. I love her, but she bought decaf. The package of the decaf coffee looks identical to the coffee we've been drinking. And she sticks it right next to the coffee maker right when we run out of coffee. And so I'm like, oh, Carol bought more coffee. We were out of coffee. Let me use this new coffee Carol bought. The decaf is very small on the package too. And yeah, that's what happened. She couldn't even get mad at me for giving her decaf because she kind of set it up. I'm not reading coffee bags at 7 a.m., 6 a.m. or at 6 in the morning, you know? Honestly, I really thought about quitting coffee just because I was already over it for 3 days. But yeah, that's the lesson, Christopher, for sure. Just get rid of the decaf. I don't even understand why people drink decaf coffee. What's the purpose? Any decaf drinkers here? Explain yourselves. Why would you drink that? Coffee's not really the tastiest thing in the world. Why would you drink that with no benefit? You know? Higher jobless claims means more people are filing for unemployment, and it's expected at 240,000 today. But higher jobless claims means more people are filing for unemployment week to week, and that is a weaker sign for the labor market. So the higher jobless claims come in, the more weak that is for the labor market. As for whether that's bullish or bearish, I don't know. Markets seem to have reacted favorably to this rate cut yesterday. I think it's probably because the Fed acknowledged that the labor market is weak, and this is probably going to be the start of a longer easing cycle. And that's when they said that, the market flew up yesterday. And so I think that's kind of what's going on. All right, we're still pushing up here. Rate cuts and holiday spending. Yeah, typically the most volatile months of the market. I don't even know if it's the volatiles. I don't even know if volatile is the right word, because sometimes volatility can mean you're going down, and it's possible we go down. But the most liquid parts of the month or parts of the year are October, November, December, and January. So those months are heading here. We're in September right now. I don't know if we're getting a September slump. The market's been pretty strong in September. NASDAQ is what? At all-time highs right now, correct? Almost at 25,000 on the NASDAQ. We're at 24,730s on the NQ. So did you guys catch the we knew the revision was going to be that bad? He's trying to cause... No. I think he's just saying it. I don't know if we go by what he said in Jackson Hole. You know, it depends on when he knew. But if we go by what he said in Jackson Hole, that's probably when he started figuring out, you know, labor. I don't know what... We got some revisions prior to that, but the last revision might be the one he's talking about. Yeah, I always tell people we don't necessarily have to have a red September. People always get baked into that, but we don't necessarily have to have some super red September. I mean, to be fair, we're still not quite at the end of September. We still have some time. We're about midway through September, and if you guys know markets can do anything. They can go up, down, or sideways. And NEC director Hassett just said he had no knowledge, or they had no knowledge of Nvidia's stake deal similar to Intel arrangement. So they don't have any knowledge of Nvidia's stake deal. Personally, I'm against the government getting stakes in different companies. I don't think that's a good idea at all. We already have government corporation, like, you know. I'm personally very much against the government getting involved in taking stake in companies. Like, we don't need to influence control in that significant way. Like, I personally am against it. What do you guys think? Are you guys for or against that type of thing? Yeah, I mean, it's domestic versus foreign, and so there's some, there's a couple different, you know, ways to do it, but I don't know. I'm still against it. I don't think it's a good precedent. And again, I hope you guys understand. I'm not political, and so I don't really care about either side of the political thing. But certain people are just gonna agree completely with one side, and I think that makes you really predictable and easy. Like, you got to be able to think about things for yourself sometimes. Just because I disagree with this doesn't mean I'm against anybody. It doesn't mean I'm supporting anybody. And so let's leave politics out of it. But yeah, personally, I'm against government taking stakes in public companies. I think that's a terrible idea. But as some people have said, to be fair, there might be like security implications here because it's with big, powerful microchips, and so there's a little bit more. It's a little bit more understandable in this context, but I'm still against it, you know. I get we were trying to rebuild a sector, but I wish we'd do it another way. Yeah. Yeah, AMD, TSM are both reacting negatively after Nvidia came out saying they're buying that they are investing, I think is what the word they use, investing a $5 billion amount into Intel. This has been seen as a negative for AMD. It's seen as a negative for ARM. It's seen as a negative for TSM because of competition dynamics. And so AMD, TSM, ARM, all down pretty significantly. Intel up pretty significantly, currently at $32 a share. That's the big news today. TSM is down from 260, almost 270s, down to 250s. So I would say that's a pretty large percentage for TSM. Here's TSM right here. Down a pretty significant amount. ARM is down from 150s to 140s. So, yeah. ARM is down basically $10 a share. 7.5%. What is it? AMD is currently down from 160s down to 150s. So AMD is down about $10 a share, about 7.5%. Six and a half percent, but 6 to 7% decreases in these companies. Hassett says, with serious national security risk with Nvidia chips. Hassett refers to Nvidia high-end chips. We got microchip news this morning. That's microchips are pushing the headlines. We got jobless claims unemployment again in 30 minutes. Hassett says, focus this week on American farmers. Rare earths were a potential bottleneck for the U.S. economy. If money gets yanked from AMD, that can also help Nvidia to keep AMD back more. Yeah, I mean, Nvidia's up pretty significantly on this news too. Look, Nvidia's up to 175.50s from 171s prior to this. So Nvidia's up a decent percentage as well. It's trending higher over 175. Yeah. All right, guys. Nasdaq's still pushing up here. My first dip buy was a little early. I bought it down here. We would have made money if we would have held, but it's too risky to hold through back here. That's why I like the 200 exponential. That's why the second dip buy I got in, it was right around the 200 DMA. We got to bounce almost immediately from it. A little bit better of an entry there, I think. I'm gonna have to draw some levels on my charts too. Market could be over 2% today. Yeah, market's up big. And again, firmly in the green, indicating the market is set to build on yesterday's rally. FedEx is good on outlook. Lennar slips on weak guidance. Micron gets an upgrader. Where's MU at in all this? MU is benefiting from all this as well. They're higher. Bank of America upgraded its shares to buy from neutral. Apple is... Let's see where this... Apple looks slightly green, but not much. Yeah, Apple's basically flat today. Gold, again, pulling back, reeling back a little bit, but still over 3,700 for gold, so gold's still optimistic. Again, broader semi names rise. AMD, TSM hit on Nvidia, Intel announcement, as well as ARM, ARM. This rally is based on, mostly this morning, the rally is based on Nvidia investing $5 billion into Intel, which is $5 billion is a lot of money. And so that Intel is up huge, Nvidia is up big, and competitors to these companies are down. Intel specifically, if you think about Intel, and Intel is linked with AMD. When you go buy a hardware, at Best Buy as an example, you got two options. You can get an AMD or you can get an Intel processor. And yeah. CPU, that is. And so they're competitors to each other. Usually I go with AMD personally, to be honest, especially over the last few years, but it varies. They can, yeah, we'll see. Yeah, Intel had the market and messed it up, but they're also more, I would say there are, like, the name value of Intel is still there in that context of CPUs. Google's up pretty big as well. Google at 253s today. Hey, thank you, Rusty, for the donation. We got a couple different donations today. I appreciate it. Thanks so much. Hit the live button next to the play button. Hit the subscribe button, guys. We do this live every single day right here on YouTube. We cover everything that goes on in markets essentially while we're here. Uber Eats is going to launch drone delivery in the U.S. by the end of this year. So Uber having some news that they're going to launch drone delivery by the end of this year. Here's Uber now. It's up this morning. It's at $94 a share for Uber. Hey, thanks, Rusty. Appreciate it, brother. Thank you, sir. You see the Intel inside sticker on the computer case? Yeah. Should see lower prices on TSM and AMD on open dip. Maybe. I mean, we're already seeing lower prices on TSM and AMD. So sometimes we can continue in that direction, or sometimes we can fill the gap. Either one of them is hard to predict, to be honest. Maybe. It doesn't say whether it's nationwide. They're partnering with Flytrex. But it doesn't say whether it's nationwide yet or not. My guess is no, it's not going to be nationwide. It's probably going to be in select cities first as they build the infrastructure, and then over time it's going to grow, is my guess. But, we'll see. Yeah, Intel's up big, Nvidia's up big, They're both benefiting from this news. Nasdaq's up big. We got 24 minutes until we got jobless claims unemployment. All right, guys, jobless claims unemployment filings. Gold still at 3,700s. I'm curious about this, about what gold's doing. Google up there. Nasdaq still testing highs of the day. Highs of the day. Is this lifetime highs? It is lifetime highs for the Nasdaq here at 24,755.75. So this is the all-time high here. All-time highs, and we're pushing close to it now. I think that's why we're getting so many buys stepping in, is because we're really close to all-time highs. The E-mini is also close to this as well. All-time high on the E-mini now 67, 1975 for the S&P. So S&P, NASDAQ breaking all-time highs this morning, heading into jobless claims unemployment filings in 25 minutes. We'll see what we get. Yeah, we got bears here. I don't know if you can see this. Hold on, I'll see if y'all can. Computer's kind of messy right now, but let me. Might not be able to see it. Lights. But can y'all see that? Ugh, I've messed up my camera now. I'll have to adjust now. I'll show you guys this. Sun comes out over here. Yeah, I mean, Intel's ripping up. Nvidia's ripping up. Nvidia investing $1 billion. Yeah, I'm good, Boris. I appreciate the heads up, but yeah, I'm good, man. All right, guys, we're still climbing higher at 24/7 44s. I'll check it out, Boris. It looks like it's some type of meme coin pump and dump site. Googling it. You seem closed-minded. I would say I'm the top 3 least closed-minded people in the world right now. So I'm closed-minded on you saying I'm closed-minded. No, I'm just joking. But on a serious note, if you got a bunch of people pressuring you on a live stream to go check out different things, you know, eventually you got to learn to tune them out, because most of the people have their own agendas. I'm not saying you do. Most of the people do. Eventually you got to learn to just kind of, like, you know, you're saying I'm going to I earn hundreds of thousands of dollars doing this every year, you know, like you know, the incentive would have to be very, very good for me to go on a crypto meme coin pump and dumps, you know, streaming site. No offense, it's all love. I don't know if that's necessarily closed-minded, but I think that's probably just logical. But maybe I'll check it out. We'll see. Yeah, so we're getting a pullback here. We are getting a dip. I don't know if it's from deep news. Intel shifts from Lagarde to Catalyst, so the firm notes AI infrastructure spending could reach 3 to 4 trillion by the decade's end. Nvidia still dominating the chip market. Intel's new announcement boosts U.S. leadership in the AI race against China. I don't see any big news. I think this pullback is just a pullback. Uber partnered with, again, Flytrex to launch drone delivery across the U.S. by the end of the year. We got a big dip here. I don't see any breaking news that would cause this dip, but we're still watching. Again, jobless claims unemployment filings in 20 minutes. My bear photo, you have it? Okay. Yeah, my bear photo's on the wall. I call it my bear obituary is what I call it. I can't remember his name. I think it's Steve. Right? Like, here's my computer. I'm not bragging about that much money. I don't think that necessarily is like, you know, I'm not going to be too specific. Really, if you want to be, I pay hundreds of thousands of dollars a year just in taxes, which I'm unhappy about. But look, I have this bear right here. I think his name is Steve, but I can't remember what I named him. So yeah, bears are here every day. You know, that's all I'm saying. That's Steve right there. He's cool. The market move a lot for unemployment claims. Sometimes. No, the job news drops in 17 minutes, 16 minutes. Zero day till expiries. Alright, guys. I'm here, alright. I don't know if I really like anything. Look how sideways gold is. I almost want to short the top of gold, but I understand how risky that can be. Yeah, he's got a suit on. He's cool. Alright, so we're up to 730s in the NASDAQ. We're kind of trending sideways here, though. Crash confirmed for when? Definitely in the top 3P. Short gold at 37.80. Maybe. Is that all-time highs? No. Maybe 38 is a better. I don't know about shorting gold. I think the closer gold gets to 4K, the more it wants to break it. And so the higher we get up here for gold, the less likely I am to want to short it. Although maybe I'm just the top 3 most wrong person for gold in the world right now. Oh, the media tab from Discord? I gotta try to find this now. Where do I find it? Custom themes? No. All right, guys, we have 15 minutes here. Jobless claims unemployment. Jobless claims unemployment is how many people are filing for unemployment week to week. They're expected at 240,000, 240K. The Laos government will mine Bitcoin to monetize the surplus hydropower and tackle soaring debt. Yeah, I don't see it here, Pawn. I just don't see it. Russia reportedly increased its holdings plan from UST Luga and Novorossiysk for September via Reuters citing sources. Best pronunciation ever right there. Nasdaq starting to tighten up in range a little bit here though. Intel is up big still after they're getting $5 billion invested into them by Nvidia. That's boosting microchips aside from AMD, ARM, and Taiwan Semiconductors, which are direct competitors. And so that's what's driving markets. Markets are at all-time highs right now. All-time highs on the Nasdaq are right here at 755. And so we will see if that holds. All right, guys, 13 minutes. 13 minutes. Where's Bitcoin at with all this stuff? I mean, I think Bitcoin would be pretty happy. Yeah, it's up to 117. I would assume Bitcoin, if they want easing, they're going to be pretty happy with yesterday's meeting. Even though we only cut 25 basis points, the start of a larger easing cycle is what they would be up big from. And I think that makes sense. Nvidia's up, AMD down. But Bitcoin is going to benefit from all this competition anyway, I think, in terms of mining. But up to 118,000 here. It's going to benefit from easing, they say, as well. So Nvidia's up today, right? Yeah, I mean, yesterday when I looked at Nvidia, it was at like 115s. So Nvidia up to 117.50. Even if it is pulling back a little bit today, it's still up from the Fed meeting yesterday. Is TSM even open up? Yeah, I think TSM is one you want to pay attention to at this point as well. TSM's down big. Yeah, so I found some of the old media. I don't know how to make this larger though. We got 2,000 media files though, so it's a little extensive. Got some fun pics though here. Alright guys, Intel actually starting to dip down a little bit. Look at Intel come back down. So Nvidia now under 32. Again, we got gold up here at 3,700s even. I think gold's really choppy and flat there. They might be waiting for more uncertainty news. We'll see if that happens, but all right, we're up to 3740s or 24/740s, I mean. TSM will still keep building in the US. Yeah, that's probably true. Some bulls calling for 200,000 by the end of the year for Bitcoin. Maybe. I've heard people call a lot of different stuff. But we'll see. This is what you mean my monitor? It's a 49-inch ultra wide. But you're probably delayed on the stream, so hit the live button next to the play button, sir. We got 9 minutes left. 9 minutes. Watching Tesla squeeze, yeah. Again, Intel. Look at the market's very close to all-time highs. And if we get low jobless claims numbers, you know, I think the market wants low jobless claims numbers today. I'm not 100% sure. Remember, jobless claims are how many people are filing for unemployment. Oh, I'm top 3 most biased. Understand all this stuff on screen. I'm not an investment professional. I'm not liable if you lose money. Make your own assessment. Trade smart. I can't guarantee anything. Don't copy me. Top 3 least wise traders in the world right now. Don't do it. Nasdaq's pushing up around all-time highs though here. All-time highs are at 755s. Gold's pushing up a little bit here as well. But we're getting a push now towards all-time highs ahead of jobless claims unemployment. Starmer is speaking. He said deals investments announced today break all records. Myself and the president of the US will sign a tech prosperity deal. This is probably what's making the market go up. Again, UK's Prime Minister Starmer said, quote, deals and investment announced today will break all records. Myself and the president will sign a tech prosperity deal. That is breaking news right now. That's what's driving this. Nasdaq's pushing up, breaking all-time highs ahead of this news. Again, the news is that UK Prime Minister Starmer said myself and the US president will sign a tech prosperity deal announced today will break all records. Nasdaq is right at Nasdaq is right at all-time highs. You think Nasdaq will break all-time highs on this news? Again, guys, we got 6.5 minutes left. Nasdaq is very close to all-time highs. Gold is shooting up. It's at 37.04. Nvidia and Intel kind of pulling back a little bit, but that's okay. They're up big already. Big dump today. Maybe. Jobless claims numbers are at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. Make sure you hit the live button next to the play button to catch up. 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. All right. I love you. Good day. All right, dude. Love you, buddy. Good day, bud. That is a mic holder. It's like a swivel holder for a microphone. Not a Bane mask. You look like Bane, bro. Bane. You don't know who Bane is? Batman villain. Alright, bro. I love you, dude. Doing alright? Alright. Stick around. Watch me stream. It's okay. Alright, guys. Nasdaq's really close to all-time highs. We're very, very close to it. Very, very close. All right, buddy. I love you, dude. Have a good day, bud. All right. Nasdaq very close to all-time highs. Very close. Nvidia is right at 175 too. It bounced there prior. Gold up to 37.05 here. Less than 5 minutes here. You get a big dump on rate cuts next day, bounces, high probability to retrace back down. Not always though. Like nothing is absolute in markets, right? Like people always have this expectation, oh, if we got a drop, and you know, the last couple times we've cut rates after, you know, extended pauses or rate hikes, then we have to get a drop here. It's not always the case. Nothing is absolute. Nothing is definitive. There's always variance, and there's always variance in how markets react. Like September's historically a really bad month for markets. September's been up big this month. Now it might turn to the other side, but the point is here, nothing's absolute. Nothing's absolute. All right, guys, Nasdaq Yeah, you seem upset about it crash coming. You know. Again, Nasdaq just broke highs, all-time highs, up to 758 right now. 758. We got 3 minutes left. 3.5 minutes. No catalyst. Yeah, Nasdaq at all-time highs. New all-time highs on the NQ that I'm showing here, right around 760, right under 760, 759 something, 759.50, 759.50 new all-time highs. But we're pushing towards that again right now. Nasdaq just broke all-time highs. Ahead of this jobless claims report in 3 minutes here, chat. We got 3 minutes until jobless claims unemployment filings come out. Again, does the market hold today, guys? Let me know in chat right now. Does the market hold? Nasdaq pushing up to retest all-time highs ahead of jobless claims unemployment filings. Again, jobless claims set to drop very soon. Jobless claims unemployment filings today expected at 240,000 this morning. 240,000. We also have the Philly Fed Index going out today. Philly Fed Index is expected at a positive number. Last time was negative. So again, jobless claims expected at 240. Last time was 263. Elevated high, showed fear. Nasdaq just broke all-time highs again. Still pushing up. Philly Fed Index expected at 1.7 today. 1.7 in 2 minutes, chat. 2 minutes. All right, guys, we got less than 2 minutes. Hit the live button next to the play button. Put it in 2x speed. That way you'll be caught up on the stream and you won't be delayed. New all-time highs on the Nasdaq are 24,762.75. We're now dipping down ahead of this jobless claims report. We got about a minute and a half. About 1.5 minutes. All right, here we go. Jobless claims unemployment. Minute and 20 seconds. Chat, a minute and 20 seconds. I'm gonna change this song. Again, I'm gonna change this song. I will put on something else. I think this song's better. We got a minute left, guys. A minute left. Nasdaq pulling back some. Again, expected at 240,000 today. The Philly Fed Index expected at 1.7. 50 seconds. All right, here we go, guys. We got 20 seconds left, 25 seconds left. All right, here we go. 15 seconds. Hey, remember, hit the live button next to the play button. And here we go. Here's the report. About 2 seconds. And here's the report. Okay, guys. So the market hasn't really moved. Okay, guys, so jobless claims came in at, we're pending here. We're still waiting. Okay, jobless claims are out. 231 versus 241. Better than expected. 231 versus 241 expected. 231 jobless claims versus 241 expected. Previous of 263. Philly Fed came in at 23.2. 23.2. But again, continuing claims, 1.92 million versus expected 1.95 million. Previous of 1.927 million. Again, better than expected, lower than expected, showing more economic strength here. Better than expected, showing more economic strength. Again, the Philly Fed Index, 23.2. 23.2. Again, these were all lower than expected. 231 versus 241. 23.2 versus 1.7 expectation for Philly Fed. Again, better than expected, lower than expected, showing less people filing for unemployment than expected. Gold is decreasing on this, but the NASDAQ is reacting negatively to it. Again, the Philly Fed Index was much stronger than expected. Jobless claims 231 versus 241. Again, I'll put this up on screen. 231 is the big number, but the Philly Fed Index was different. It was 23. 23.2 for the Philly Fed Index, which is kind of wild. I'll put this up on screen as well. It's all scrolling at the bottom now. You can see all the numbers, but again, lower than expected everywhere. The NASDAQ is kind of buy the rumor, sell the news, going down a little bit on stronger economics. Yeah, here's the news release for jobless claims if you want to see it. It says the advanced seasonally adjusted insured unemployment rate 1.3% for the week ending September 6th. Unchanged from the previous week. Advanced number for seasonally adjusted insured unemployment during the week ending September 6th was 1.92 million, a decrease from 7,000 from the previous week's revised level. The previous week's level was revised down by 12K from 1.93 million to 1.927 million. The 4-week moving average was 1.932 million, a decrease of 10,250 from the previous week's revised average. The previous week's average was revised down by 3,000 from 1.9575 million to 1.9475 million. And so, yeah, lower claims. Less people filing for unemployment. NASDAQ is reacting negatively to this event, which is interesting. Yeah, well, now the Fed might be less easing, is what this means. And if the market wants easing, the market might react negatively to that. And so that's kind of something that we're seeing here. Yeah, so look at this decrease here. Wow. Look at this decrease. We're falling down a little bit now. Is this a buy the dip scenario right now? Let me know, chat. Are you guys interested in buying the dip? I'm going to do a poll here. Or actually, we'll just leave our poll. Yeah, gold is dipping down too, though. Look at gold. Gold's hitting 3,700s right now. A weekly report, no effect. I would argue a weekly report has more effect, David. Cuts are not monthly. They're every 6 weeks as well. If we cut every meeting from here on out, it would be every 6 weeks. Every month and a half, actually. But why the reason jobless claims is relevant and the reason we're seeing such a big reaction to this report, and we typically do, is because if the market wants rate cuts, right? Number one, jobless claims is a more real-time look at unemployment. Right, unemployment lags. Jobless claims is only a week late. And so this is recent unemployment data. That's why it influences things. That's why we cover it every Thursday, is because it gives you a deeper picture of the labor market versus a more lagging unemployment percentage that we get once a month, right? That's why jobless claims unemployment filings are relevant. That's why they're important, is because there's less lag. You can see a more real-time look. And yeah, the reason we are dropping down here is because the market wants more aggressive cuts. They want more easing. They're worried about recessions at this point in time, it looks like. And so anything that signals we might cut less, even though jobless claims being stronger than expected might be more beneficial for recession avoidance, I should say. The market wants more cuts, essentially. And so they are reacting negatively to this. Or it could just be buy the rumor, sell the news. But gold is dipping down on this report. And yeah, we'll see what happens. Why am I not seeing much drop? This isn't a real drop. I mean, it depends on what you classify as a real drop. We're pulling back for sure on this report. It's not major here. This is the pullback we just did. Jobless claims came out here. You know? It doesn't mean we're going to keep pulling back. I don't know. Gold certainly reacting negatively to this report as well. Less uncertainty. Alright, guys. We're going to be heading into the opening bell. Too negative and distracting. Good day to you, sir. We're looking at 1 minute candles just because it's the most real-time look at markets. And so if we're watching economic data, I mean, I think 1 minute candles are going to be more closely looking at the reactions to that data versus a 5 or 10 minute or 15 minute candles. I don't necessarily think that makes sense. But AMD thought they would eat the... Yeah, I mean, so the big news today, again, Nvidia investing $5 billion into Intel, right? AMD, ARM, Taiwan Semiconductors, and a couple others are down from this news. Yeah, I mean, again, ultimately this data showed a stronger economy and a labor market than expected. Less people filing for unemployment week to week than expected. Came in at 231 versus 241 expected. So better than expected there. You guys think this is bullish or bearish right now? Let me know. Put bull or bear in chat. Yeah, maybe nothing. I don't know. We're covering it anyway, like we always do. Tomorrow's quad witching day as well, which will be interesting. Whatever-ish, if the numbers are real. Bearish for the day, at least the gap closed. Bull, bear. Bullish, it's fine. Cuts are coming still. Yeah, let's take a look at yields and see how they responded to this, right? I'm sure yields are going to be up on this report, but I'm curious to see how yields are responding. Yeah, yields are elevated, of course, on this report. I mean, that's not a shock to see yields are up from this. You know, showed stronger economy, less need to cut rates, and yields and interest rates follow each other. And so if we have a higher interest rate sentiment from a stronger economy, yields are going to go up. Not a shock. Yields are back up to almost 4.1% though. Yeah, Intel is still ripping up. This might drag something higher. I don't know what it's going to drag higher. Nvidia maybe. I don't know how Nvidia and Intel might be correlated short term, but it doesn't mean they're going to hold that correlation. So just because Nvidia or just because Intel's going up doesn't necessarily mean Nvidia will. But today it's more likely. S&P breaking down a little bit here as well. So we got a rate cut yesterday. We got a 25 basis point rate cut by the Fed yesterday. It happens every 6 weeks. And so in October, 6 weeks from now, we'll probably get another rate cut. I think at this point in time, the plan for the Fed is 25, 25, 25. 25. So 25 yesterday, 25 October, 25 December. It's triple witching technically, but yeah. Buying, bro. Buying AI related coins. Yeah, we'll see. S&P going down a little bit, E-mini. What's up with Powell sending mixed messages about inflation and the economy yesterday? I think Powell's data dependent, guys. I've said this once, I'll say it again. I think Powell's data dependent. Of course, I think right now we have a situation in which they're both worries. So I can't really knock Powell for fearing inflation and labor weakness. You know, I think that's pretty clear that we should both fear that right now. Or that we all should fear that right now. We should fear inflation and labor weakness. We've seen labor weakness. We've seen elevated inflation. And they're both not good. A lot of people would say this is a stagflation environment, which is an economic state in which we have weak labor and high inflation. Now, whether we have the high inflation is somewhere in the middle right now. Do you guys think we have high inflation right now? And remember, what I'm talking about is the rate at which inflation goes up. I know we've had high inflation for 5 years now. And so when I say do we have high inflation, I'm not meaning are you paying higher prices now than you were 5 years ago. What I'm saying is, like, do you see prices going up, the rate at which they are increasing? So let me know. Oil is flat on the day, 63.96, 64s basically. So I can certainly agree we're seeing weak labor, payroll revisions. This jobless claims report paints a little bit better picture, but weak labor revisions, weak labor data for not just what I'm curious about, to be completely honest. The next thing I'm really curious about is what Q2 GDP looks like. You know, like they revised Q2 down, May and June, 258,000 jobs. I'm wondering if we're going to see a turn in GDP. Next week, I think we have GDP and PCE data. Let me make sure. But next week we have GDP, I believe, in PCE. So I'm curious to see what that looks like. But yeah, next week we got GDP third estimate expected. We don't see what it's expected at. But this is the I believe this is the finalized GDP for Q2. Let me make sure. But I think this is the final estimate for GDP next week. Which it is. We'll see what Q2 GDP actually looked like. Q1 was negative 0.5%. And so if for some crazy reason we get a Q2. If for some crazy reason we get negative GDP, which we won't, that would mean we're technically in a recession. A little bit hard from Nvidia's China's investigating. Yeah, I mean, look, it's not that I'm against bearish traders. All right, that's really not what it is. I'm not against bears in markets. I think there's opportunities where you can make money on the bear side, short side in markets. What I always try to like reinforce, and what I think is an important thing to understand in markets, is that most of the time markets are going up. And so if you have this constantly bearish mindset, especially if we're talking about blue chips, S&P 500, NASDAQ, long term, it's the biggest sucker bet you could ever make in markets, right? Like if you short the market long term, I'm not saying you're dumb, but it's definitely not smart. Now, if you isolate really extended weak periods of time and then short those and get in and get out, that's a little bit more understandable. I think you have to be a fool to bet against the market long term based off of over a century of data. And again, don't get it wrong, like the bears try to make fun of the bulls a lot. Most of the time the bulls are right. You know how many times people have told me the market was going to crash over the last few years? And what has the market done? It's consistently pushed higher and higher, broken all-time highs. That's the nature of the market. It averages 8 to 10% a year. I'm not going to bet against that. I think that's dumb. But do what you guys want to do. I'm sure there's some people that can isolate great times to short and get in and get out, and that's fine. But if you're going to short overextended, overhyped smaller companies. You know, there's certain companies that just get pushed way too high short term. Lululemon, a good example. Beyond Meat, a good example. Tilray, a good example. Some of these things went up to hundreds of dollars per share. Those are the things that I'm not telling you to short, because at this point most of those are done. But those are the type of companies that I think if you're going to short, those are the ones you want to short, you know? Because if you bet against the big boys, the strongest companies in the world, you're probably going to lose money, realistically. But for whatever reason, everybody wants to be all contrarian and different and be like, oh, I see things that nobody else does, so I'm going to short the strongest companies in the world. I don't think that's very smart. And it's so rare that they make movies about the people that actually do it. And so, yeah. Hyperstagflation, maybe. Show us what? What do you want to see? I'll show you something here. Look. Here's the S&P 500. Long term. You'll notice something about it. It goes up long term. Here's the NASDAQ. You know, so like you could try to find these big weak moments like the .com crash here. You know, and again, there are opportune times. Like here's the .com crash in the NASDAQ. There are opportune times to short things, but it's not most of the time. And again, I'll tell you this, it's not before it happens usually. Most of the time it's after it starts and you're just riding the trend, in my opinion. But again, everybody's different. Alright guys, NASDAQ is flat. Intel up to 3240s. Gold. Still over 37s. We are just looking at 50 years of data. Oh, just half a century. That's it. Yeah, and again, maybe I'm biased because I make money on the long side most of the time, and I've had so many people come here telling me the market was going to crash every single year for the last like 8 years. Somebody's telling me the market's going to crash and they're pressuring it and they're pressuring it, and it almost never happens, right? And then usually they're quiet and they're kind of secretly resentful because they lost money, and you know, like it just creates this weird dynamic where most of the time the market's going up. S&P's going to average 8 to 10% a year, including crashes. So even if we do crash, the people that do the best typically are the ones that buy and DCA into it or sit on it. But yeah, there's companies you can short. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of good companies that you can isolate and find extended overhyped stocks, 100%. But it's not going to mostly be the NASDAQ, S&P, Dow. And the longer you hold a short position in those, the less likely you are to make money, you know. Should have bought stocks 30 years ago instead of swimming in my father's thoughts. Yeah. The older you get, though, the more you fear crashes, right? I don't think that's a strange dynamic, you know. I think the more you get older, the more you fear technology, right? And the more you fear technology, the less likely you are to invest in those into those technologies. I think that's pretty obvious. And so the older you get, the less likely you are to, you know, invest into these big new technologies that evolve over time. The younger you are, the more welcoming you are of it, the more interested you are in it. You know, that's pretty understandable dynamic, I think. The older you are, the more you fear change. Anyways, NASDAQ's coming down a little bit here. Let's see if it holds. Bro, my joints hurt, dude. I'm getting old, apparently. I think it's just from training, but my back hurts half the time. My hips are certainly less flexible, you know, when I train jiu-jitsu, just less flexible. All right, guys, NASDAQ dipping under the 200 exponential here. Speaking of shorts, maybe I will short this short term, but I think we're on a longer term upward trend, so probably not. If we get under 24/7, I might consider it. But I think we're too close to all-time highs, and we're not really holding. We got a liquidity grab the last time we broke one, as well as jobless claims came out, so. You never know, the market could turn the rest of this year. Look, and again, don't get me wrong, like, I'm not saying the market's never going to correct and crash. I would say right now, to be honest, we have some parallels with the dot-com boom and bust. Again, the dot-com boom and bust consisted of online companies IPOing, a lot of them pre-profits, and getting crazy overvaluations, and then eventually that bubble bursting and the market correcting for years from it in the dot-com crash, 2000 crash, whatever you want to call it. I think a lot of people would say that mirrors what's going on right now in terms of AI. And again, I'm not necessarily disagreeing with that. Like, my thesis on shorts is long-term, meaning decades, right? You invest, you sit in the market long-term, you're probably going to make money. You short the market long-term, especially if we're talking about S&P, NASDAQ, you are probably going to lose money. And you also, like, it's really easy for banks and all these different, like, groups to sway people's emotion into thinking we're always going to crash so they can come buy things up for cheap. And so, you know, you got to just be resilient to that as well. Understand we might crash, but it's very difficult to predict when we actually do. AMD is down because its competitor Intel got a $5 billion investment by Nvidia. That's why AMD's down. News is pretty slow as of now. Again, Baird today announced it's incrementally positive for Intel. Nvidia and Intel will co-develop data center and PC projects using NVLink, with Intel making custom x86 CPUs for Nvidia and integrating RTX GPUs into x86-based products. Nvidia will also buy $5 billion of Intel stock. The deal expands Nvidia's TAM, strengthens Intel's foundry and PC share, and pressures AMD as well as other competitors to them, and that's why you see AMD down. Longer term, it enhances Intel's AI exposure and validates XAI. Great share, John. Good insight. Thank you, John. Appreciate it. What upcoming fears do you see coming weeks? PCE inflation next Friday, GDP data on Thursday. If GDP is turned down relative to last one, this is the final revision for GDP for Q2. If it's revised down on Thursday next week because of revisions in labor data, maybe we'll see fear from that. If PCE comes in hot, if PCE comes in higher than expected for PCE inflation, which is the Fed's preferred and the one they reference is PCE, in terms of inflation, if that comes in high, that might cause fear. And so, yeah, we got that going on next week. It'll be interesting. Thursday and Friday specifically is when that happens. John, if your joints are hurting, do yoga. Nah, I know some yoga positions. I don't do them as often as I should, though. Yeah, the trolls are out today. Listen, I'm gonna ban you if you troll me too much. I mean, I'm definitely the top 3 most trolly person in the world right now. But of course I talk a lot. I'm the only person on the stream. If I just sat here in silence, people would cry about it. You know? And so... yeah, the $5 billion investment into Intel is what's boosting it this morning. Although, again, the stock market is starting to pull back here. NASDAQ pulling back, Nvidia pulling back. Yeah, if I was sitting here in silence, what do y'all expect me to do? Come on now. Ugh. I'm talking a lot today. Realistically, I'm probably talking a lot today because the last 4 days I've been drinking decaf. And this is my first real coffee cup I've had in 4 days. And so, a little bit stronger jolt of energy in the morning for me today, probably. Again, I blame Carol. It's her fault, 100%. And honestly, me talking like this gives content for the stream, you know, so. Oil just went red on the day. Yeah, it's gonna be awkward for... Again, I'm gonna tell this story one more time because I've already told it a couple different times today. But Carol, I'm gonna sound like Bruce Buffer or whomever, but Carol bought a virtually identical coffee bag to our previous coffee, but it was decaf and she stuck it right next to the coffee maker. Didn't say a word about it. It wasn't like, hey baby, that's decaf right there, don't use it. And then we were also out of the previous bag of coffee. So I'm stumbling along making the coffee, and I say a new bag of coffee. I'm like, oh look, there's a new bag of coffee. Let me use that to make the coffee since the other one's out. Started making coffee with it. Carol never said a word about it. You know, she didn't say, hey baby, that's decaf. It looks exactly the same, virtually identical, but that's decaf. She just allowed it to happen. And then, all right, so look, here's 24/700. Here's 24/7s. Then yesterday, Carol and I are laying in bed and we're like, man, dude, I got a headache. She's like, I do too. Then she decides to tell me, hey, you didn't use decaf, right? I put a bag of decaf next to the coffee maker. My first response is, why? Who buys decaf here? Why are we buying decaf? Nobody here drinks decaf. Nobody. It doesn't make any sense. So, cheers to you guys today. Now that you guys know the story, whose fault is it today? Let me know. All right, here's 9 a.m. Whose fault is us drinking decaf for the last 4 days? I don't think it's my fault. You could argue it. I don't think it's valid. All right, guys, NASDAQ is still flushing. Like I said, I was thinking about maybe shorting under 24/7s, and look at the big move we got as we dipped under 24/7s. Again, this is mostly Nvidia pulling back. We also have not really Apple breaking down. Meta's down a little bit, but it doesn't really move that much. Microsoft's falling down a little bit. You'd think AMD might bounce on Nvidia pulling back, but it's not. Intel's still up there. Look at this drop. Let me make sure there's no news. Yeah, gold's pulling back a little bit as well. Anybody see any other tech stocks outside of Nvidia that might be driving this market down? I mean, I see other stocks pulling back, but none of them are really like leading moves. If that makes sense. Yeah, I was oblivious to drinking decaf, but I felt tired the last 4 days. Thank you, Observer. I appreciate the donation, brother. Thank you, sir. Yeah, I'm looking at Meta and Google. They're down a little bit, but they're not driving this move, I think. I guess it's Nvidia driving the move. Makes more sense. gold is pulling back big too here. Yeah, well, I just took a 4-day break from coffee. So. We're gonna day trade the opening bell live. We're basically flat. We're green on one account, red on the other today. I think we're down slightly at yeah, tomorrow's triple witching day. Remember, all 3 major contract types expire tomorrow. This is stock options, index options, and index futures. They all expire tomorrow. It's a day of historical volatility. We'll see what happens there. I'm sorry, BT. Intel is going to open over 30 for the first time in a while. That isn't an earnings release. Yeah. Yeah, the news about China restricting AI chip purchases for their largest tech companies. Yeah, so the president said the deal will help the US and the UK dominate AI. The NASDAQ is on a tear down here, though. I kind of almost want to buy it now. I'll try to buy it. I'm gonna try to buy right here, I guess. I'm catching a falling knife right now, but that's okay. It's small. We'll maybe add to it if it doesn't work. We're just down so much, I think, especially if they're gonna announce some type of big AI deal today with the UK. All right, so we're gonna add a little bit more here. There we go, we're green. I want to give it a second here, but I'm not the most optimistic. That's a big red candle. Look at Intel, though. Intel's starting to push. So is Nvidia. Okay, we're back up to flat on the day. There we go. I'm going to take one contract off, break even here. Just to limit my size. That's a big drop after I got in. There we go. It's better. Gonna take another piece off up there. Hold the rest just in case we retrace and try to probably hold the rest a little bit longer. Nvidia's starting to bounce back, so is Intel here. Yeah, I think like a dip buy like this has to be longer term. That's why I'm trying to limit some of my risk from this trade, just because yeah, I gotta just limit some of my risk. I'll maybe add to it if we get deeper in the green. Alright, we're about flat on the position right now. We got only one micro left, so it's not really super meaningful. Again, I'm trying to hold it long term, and I'll sit on this if I need to. But risk is pretty small at this point in time. We already took a little profit in it too, so we can sit, wait. Oh yeah, forget about Tesla sometimes influencing markets. Tesla's retracing a lot of the gains it made today too. Why are people bullish on Intel? Well, I think $5 billion is a lot, Ramy. You know what I mean? So, like, you got to understand, Intel's getting $5 billion invested into it by Nvidia. And again, that's going to kind of prop those two up. Should have took your profit. I mean, I don't know, man. That would assume that we're going to have a much larger breakdown here. And maybe we do. I don't know. But again, we're in one micro. We already took profit already a little bit on the trade. And so it's kind of a push at this point. If we bounce at 950. If we break under 950 cleanly, that's kind of my stop area. I'm going to give it like 45. Yeah, so look, there's the bounce at 650 is what I meant right here. I'm going to give a stop maybe like 40, 44, 45. Yep, there's the 50 bounce. If it holds now, though. We're back at the flat now on the rest. Again, Nvidia's climbing up quickly here. Again, if they do announce some big AI infrastructure deal, you know, it could help us rebound back up, but we'll see. Hey, thank you, John, for becoming a member. Appreciate it, brother. Thank you, sir. Right, hindsight's 20/20, dude. You know how many people show up after I lose a trade and they're like, yeah, bro, the other direction was so obvious. Like, alright. Alright, we're nicely green here. We're getting a big upward movement. See if we continue. There we go. I'm gonna cut it right here if I can get out. I was just ready to cut it. Maybe I should have. But again, I think I gotta let it consolidate. I really do. I think it should be a longer term trade. Like realistically, the likelihood I think that we bounce up at least some like here makes more sense. But again, we are in a big red move. It depends on. I think a lot of it's following Nvidia. But Nvidia going up and down, and that's kind of what's driving the Nasdaq here. The reason we started falling, a mix of jobless claims and Nvidia's like corrections to the downside. But markets are down after jobless claims came out, lower than expected, as well as we kind of had a liquidity grab at all-time highs. I would say, you know, Nvidia. There we go. I'm gonna cut it right there. All right, so we're out. We made money on the trade. That's good. President's doing a press conference. Yeah, I mean that's honestly why I was more bullish too. Let's take a look at this press conference. Yeah, so the president's meeting PM Starmer. Question is, does the market react favorably to, you know? And I don't know. According to Starmer, it's gonna break records, is what he said. Again, we'll cover it when it starts. All right, Nasdaq's still bouncing back up here. Yeah, I can tell they're in the UK because the only image we're really seeing here from this meet is this right here. So the meeting hasn't started yet. It's definitely in the UK though. I don't know if there's ever been a more British looking home. So, you know, as my last name is London, so I can confirm this is a British looking home. Okay, so this is what the president, this is what Prime Minister Starmer said earlier. All right, let's talk about it. President Starmer said earlier, let me find it, hold on. They said, the president said without tariffs, we would only have a fraction of current investment. We're building up the industrial capacity of the US and UK. We're taking next steps with historic agreement in science. They're making US-UK ties closer than ever. Ties between us and the UK are priceless. Starmer said Trump and I will sign tech prosperity deal. Deal's investments announced today will break all records. End quote. UK Prime Minister Starmer. So maybe the meeting was earlier. Maybe they haven't meeting yet. I'm not sure. Y'all help me out here. I don't see any. Oh yeah, they spoke. Okay, I see it. Amazon multi-channel fulfillment expands the support of merchandise on Shopify, Walmart, and others. All right, chat. Hey, we got 15 minutes until the opening bell. We'll see what happens. $650 level held really well. It hits the level you were waiting for, John. Yeah, but I mean, I set my stop. Remember, and this happened the other day when I was on Top Step TV. Right, is that I set my stop below these big milestone levels, right? So here's the level I was watching. My stop loss on that trade was here. Really, it was like, right, it was a little bit underneath that right here. And the reason I do this is because sometimes what you'll see happen is we'll come back down, rip under the level, retrace back up, and then bounce, right? And so because of that, I'd rather give myself a little bit more room under these levels to avoid getting bottom ticked right here with my stop loss, if that makes sense, at 650. It doesn't mean anything yet. I always like the first test. I don't like the second. So if we go down and move it and then go back up and then retest it, I don't like that at all. So a lot of the time on the second or third test, we end up breaking the level. Very rarely will we hold a level multiple times short term with that many tests back to back, but it's possible to happen. You know, you never know. All right, chat, we got 15 minutes. I think the press conference is set for 9:20 or something like that, correct? It's like 9:20 market time. Hey, y'all hit that subscribe button as well. Listen, I need 50 subscribers to break 166,000. We got 1,000 people here. Some of you guys aren't subscribed. I'm just going to say, it hurts. It hurts, guys. Do it now. Subscribe. I'm okay if you watch the stream regardless, but you should subscribe. That's all. That's all. Also, give me a follow on x.com at beginner trades. Yeah, so it looks like they're waiting for the conference to start. Tim Cook was invited to come. Apple CEO. Yeah, so y'all just be careful, because if he's doing this right at the opening bell, just be careful. So JP Morgan expects the Bank of England to lower rates by 25 BP in February 2026 and February and May of 2026 versus previous view of November and February. November of this year and February of next year. So they don't think JP Morgan's going to lower rates by 25 basis points until February of next year, and then another time in May of next year, versus previously they thought they would do it in November this year and February next year. So JP Morgan essentially pushing back rate cut odds for the Bank of England. What do you guys think quarter 2 GDP will show up as Thursday next week? What do you guys think? Any guesses percentage-wise? It's expected at I don't know what it's expected at, actually. Again, jobless claims show up at 231,000 today, lower than last time. This is going to be October 2nd next week. Or no, I'm sorry. That's wrong. This is going to be October or September 25th next week. I mean, it's going to be positive. Yeah, so everybody's waiting to see what Starmer and the president got to say. Nothing yet here. Everybody's kind of waiting, sitting around. So, again, it's supposed to start right around now. So I'll try to get the speech live when it starts. Hey, thank you, BT, for becoming a member. I appreciate it. All-time high of the market history. Yeah, no, a tech deal's being announced right before the open. But sometimes it's buy the rumor, sell the news, and we already had a push up to all-time highs already once in pre-market. And so it doesn't necessarily mean we're gonna get another push up. We could. It certainly could happen. But I'm not sure. I'm gonna have to wait. I'm sitting here waiting for the speech to start. Yeah, it's supposed to happen right before the opening bell. I will stream it if we see it, like when it starts, if you guys want me to. At least the first part of it. We'll cover the open as well, but T-Mobile announces a 16% quarterly dividend increase to $1.02 a share from 88 cents. Problem is, you got live streaming channels that basically like put different stuff out there just to make people click. And so the actual speech hasn't started yet, I don't think. Looking at a couple different ones. It's supposed to start at 9:20, I think, correct? If they announce a big tech deal that could boost markets, we could also have a buy the rumor, sell the news type of thing go on. Again, the big news today, Intel getting a $5 billion investment by Nvidia. Speech is probably going to be about a bunch of stuff. Typically what happens when the president speaks is he'll set the, he'll set the speech topic to be about one specific thing, and then he'll talk about that thing shortly, like for a very short period of time, and then he'll kind of pivot to all these other things that go on. And so this one's supposed to be about a big tech deal with the UK, with the UK Prime Minister Starmer. But we'll see if that's actually what the majority of the speech is talking about. And again, remember, generally they're late on these speeches. So, and that looks like the case here. Yeah, I'll tell you what they said earlier again. Earlier, they said, what did Starmer say? Let me find it, hold on. Earlier, Starmer spoke about this a little bit. He said, myself and the president will sign a tech prosperity deal. Deals and investments announced today will break all records, end quote. UK Prime Minister Starmer. So that's where we're at now and into this. We're heading into the opening bell here. We got 6 minutes left. Alright, look at Nvidia. Look at this candle on Nvidia. Guys, could be the market on open, though, is probably what this is. So take it with a grain of salt, but... Alright guys, here we go. We got the opening bell in 4 minutes. 4 minutes. Intel dipping, Nvidia dipping down ahead of the opening bell. We'll see if it holds down. Okay, so they did just change the camera angle. But this is the most English looking. I get this thing's gotta be old, huh? 16th century manor house northwest of London. Yep. All right, guys, Nvidia falling down at 174.50s here. 174.50s for Nvidia. Ahead of the opening bell. We got 3 minutes left. Hit the live button next to the play button. Make sure you're fully caught up on stream. DuPont says it has a robust M&A pipeline and is actively looking for new opportunities. That news just came out. All right. Who's that? I think that's Rubio. Still waiting here. All right, guys, we're starting to push up. We're at 683s right now on the NASDAQ, but look at Nvidia fall down here. So very interesting. Nvidia dipping down. What's gold doing? Gold falling down with us. A lot of tech starting to fall down ahead of the opening bell. We got less than 2 minutes here. Look at Nvidia fall. Job numbers showed up lower than expected. Or not job numbers. Unemployment filing showed up lower than expected at 231 versus 240 expected. Philly Fed Index showed up way stronger than expected as well. All of this stuff kind of pushed yields higher, making markets go down some because I guess they want easing and cuts. Look at the NASDAQ turn here. We got about a minute left, chat. 1 minute. Ooh. I see them all coming out to speak, but none of them are speaking yet. But... yeah, I watched Hook not that long ago. It was good. Good movie. I mean, I've seen it for since I was little, but we rewatched it again probably like 3 weeks ago. All right, we're at 174s for Nvidia. It's had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 red candles in a row leading into the opening bell in about 20 seconds. All right, guys, you guys ready? What do you guys think of the opening bell? Let me know in chat. Bull or bear? Right now in chat. Bull or bear? All right, there's the bell. We are at the opening bell. NASDAQ getting some green candle push into the opening bell. Nvidia is what you want to watch. Intel is what you want to watch as well at the opening bell today. Gold is... AMD still falling down. There goes Nvidia back down a little bit. United Health just dropped. Google's kind of flat since the open. Tesla's down though. President set to speak anytime now. There's a correction back down at the open here, Chad. Although it's not Nvidia, it looks like to be Intel moving. Tesla's down. Microsoft is down. Meta's up. So this is Microsoft and some others dropping at the opening bell. Nvidia is actually up a little bit to 174.50s. But look at this drop. President still hasn't started speaking yet. He's on camera right now though, but he hasn't started speaking yet. Also, guys, we're trading on Top Steps funded account program right now. So if you want to learn to day trade, do not fund your own account tens of thousands of dollars trying to look cool. It makes no sense. You're probably going to lose your first couple accounts. Look at that bounce right around that 50 level. But it makes no sense to do that. You're probably just going to lose your first few accounts. Learn to trade without the burn. Top Step gives you a 50K demo. It's $50 a month for the base one to take the challenge. If you pass it, you get a 50K funded account. If you fail, you lose $50. It's much better than depositing $2,000 and losing that. $3,000, $4,000, 10,000, whatever you deposit for your first account. Most day traders lose their first few accounts. So it makes no sense. They pay out millions, fund thousands. If you pass it and get the 50K funded account, you get a 90% split, similar to funding your own account. If you fail, you lose 50 bucks. Great way to learn. They also have their back to funded option where you can reset funded accounts now. They're a sponsor of mine. I'm biased to understand all this stuff on screen. I can't guarantee anything. I'm not an investment professional. I'm not liable if you lose money. We are rebounding at the opening bell. I'll put the link up right here. We are rebounding into the opening bell. We're close to all-time highs as well. I think we still got a little ways to go, but we're close to all-time highs. And I want to see if they're going to start speaking. Hold on. I want to see if they're going to start speaking about stuff. Nvidia's rebounding. Yeah, look at Microsoft is down, Meta's up at the open. Tesla's rebounding too. This could be making moves. And they're talking about a tech prosperity deal with Starmer, saying it'll break records when announced today. All records will be broken, I think he said, or something like that. Again, we're still sitting here. They haven't started yet. This is basically the feed that I'm showing right now. Nasdaq's ripping up to 710s. Tesla's pushing up. Nvidia's pushing up. AMD's pushing up. All-time highs on the Nasdaq are now up here at 765. Yeah, we're seeing strength for sure. Alright, look at AMD pump, Nvidia pump. Now we're getting a dip back down here. Right at the 200 exponential, look at that, right here. Right now we see some guy here, look at this guy. I don't know what's going on here. No sound makes the context hard to understand. He missed the X though. Yeah, I'm just waiting here. I gotta wait 5 minutes to trade anyway. Look at AMD bounce back. Nvidia and AMD moving with each other. Nvidia's still down. He's supposed to speak anytime now, but they've got like skydivers coming in with UK flags. Right now. So the speech can't go on until they finish this. Alright, look at AMD rebound, Nvidia dipping now. They're just waving now to cameras. They're not really doing much yet. Alright, it looks like they're going inside now. Skydivers are done. They're heading inside. Nvidia dipping down. We're at 174.50s. AMD dipping down a little bit. Intel's starting to bounce, but it's had a red morning so far. Nasdaq opened up slightly green on the day right now. Or slightly green since the open, I should say. Gotta get over this 200 exponential right here for me to be interested. We are 6 minutes into the day though. Still waiting for this to start. Getting a couple different feeds we're watching for it. All right, Nasdaq still gaining on the day here. Microsoft's about flat on the day now. Meta's rebounding since the open. Marvell, hey. Top 3 greatest positions ever here. I'm gonna go ahead and cut it right here. I made it from $62 a share all the way up to 74. I think that's reasonable. I'm out. Pretty big percentage for a week and a half, so I will take it. Nvidia coming down a little bit at 174s. Tesla turning a little bit as well here. That 200 exponential still holding right now. All-time high liquidity grab, maybe. I think markets are on pause waiting for this event to happen. Oh, I think that's kind of what's going on right now. AMD's green since the bell. Retrace some of the pullback it's made, but it's still down a lot. It was at 160s prior to the Nvidia Intel investment news. Right, it was at 162 when the news came out up here. It's now down big, so might have some gap to fill. Nasdaq's actually falling down with Nvidia. Nvidia back down under 174s. Okay, so people are asking what event. The event that we're talking about here, guys, is that UK Prime Minister Starmer is meeting with the president today. He essentially said that they were going to announce deals and stuff today that were going to break all records, is essentially what he said. Again, confirm it with them, but that's essentially what he said. And I think markets are kind of quiet leading into this, right? Like, we don't know if the market's going to react favorably or to this or not, but the markets are kind of quiet leading into this, is what I'm seeing. So you're seeing corrections. I'm looking at 650 here. I haven't really traded much, and I'm not really interested in trading, because if they start talking, markets can move. Right. I would assume it does, Keith, but you never know, man. Nvidia's investing $5 billion into Intel. Yeah, we saw that. That's why AMD dropped, Nvidia went up, Intel went up at like 6 or 7 a.m. this morning. Nasdaq just broke under that 650 level. Still dropping. We're still waiting for the speech here, so who knows when that'll be. AMD actually rebounding up a little bit here. Still kind of on hold waiting for this thing to start, guys. Markets are probably a little quiet too, but they might break down into it. All the news is kind of muted right now, to be honest. We're not really getting... They're getting their cameras in there. AMD back up to 152, kind of rebounding, and Nvidia and Intel kind of correcting a little bit after big pumps for them and big dips for AMD. So we're kind of seeing a retracement of the dynamic we had this morning. We have 650 rejection right here now. It's gonna depend on what these two do, though. Big Buddy likes to buy cheaper. MM's giving them a chance here. Bears were right so far. I don't know. We don't really have too much market momentum. By the dip, last time the president announced that everything crashed. Okay. NASDAQ break it down here. We're at 645s. Still waiting for this to start. Nothing yet. Meta's ripping back up. Marvell pushing back up again. I just cut Marvell. Alright, so 650 still rejecting here. Nvidia's falling down now as well. So look at that rejection right at 650. Still breaking down Nvidia. Trolls are here today, man. They really are. He's supposed to speak at 9:20, but you know he's always late for every speech he does. This is not me hating on him. This is just the truth. He's at least 20 minutes late for every single speech he ever does. But yeah. And so right now he's late again. Probably better that he didn't do it right at the opening bell. Might cause more volatility. All right, so here we go. We're pulling back. Watch 24.6 down here. 24.6. Nvidia up. Not late, we're just early? Yeah, maybe. Fashionably late. Top 3 most fashionable. We're breaking down here. Let's see if we hit 24.6. Nvidia back up to 137. Or 173, I mean. We're hitting 24.6s here, 24.6. Businesses with the UK. I bet you he does mention AI. It's supposed to be an infrastructure deal, right? Okay, look, there's 24.6. I gotta start taking my own level, like, movements here. Look at this. I'm not gonna say I'm the top 3 greatest leveler. Is that the right use of that word, leveler? I'm not gonna say I'm the top 3 greatest leveler in the world right now. But I'm definitely in the top 4, I would say. Maybe the top 2.5. Yeah, we're sitting tight. Honestly, we're 17 minutes since the bell started. Nvidia's breaking down a little bit, dragging the NASDAQ down. We also have movements in Meta's green since the bell. Marvell is green. Tesla's red. Microsoft is red since the bell. You guys know. Y'all know. But yeah, Meta's pushing up. I'm still waiting for them to start, guys. I'm here. We're trying. They're the top 3 latest today. 12 minutes. Yeah, we got some red action at the. We got some red action here, right? But what I'm worried about is if Starmer's saying this news today is going to break records. The problem is that if I go short attacking the downward trend we've had since the bell, and then they do come out with some stuff like that, my trade might get eaten. So instead, I'm just going to sit around twiddling my thumbs, waiting for him to say something, and then maybe try to ride that momentum. Sometimes it's best to just not trade. I'm not trading till next week. Honestly, tomorrow will be interesting. Quad witching, triple witching day tomorrow. We'll see. All right, we're starting to bounce back up here. AMD's testing 153 right now. Intel back up to 3140s. Nvidia's bouncing back here as well. Almost to 174s. Bro, I call these two bottoms that we've had over the last 20, 30 minutes. Maybe I should start attacking these bottoms more. The problem is that when we don't do this, we just kind of, and it happens quick. And so I think the key is to set stops that are set reasonable stops. I'm trying not to trade here, guys. I'm really trying. Microsoft back green on the day, though. Okay, they're here. Hold on. Okay, they're all just socializing here. They're not actually saying anything yet. Some dude's on a phone. Is that an 80s phone? Yeah, AMD bouncing back a little bit after correcting based off of competition because of their competition and got a $5 billion investment. Specifically, Intel is what I'm talking about. AMD corrected heavily. It's still down pretty big from this, but it's starting to bounce back a little bit at the opening bell. But if you zoom out, you can kind of see how much AMD is down from this when that news of the $5 billion investment into Intel by Nvidia right here came out. But they're kind of following each other now, just in tech sympathy. But yeah, we'll see what happens. NASDAQ bouncing back up. Here's the 200 exponential at 7. And I think 7 makes sense right there. Whole dollar number. We'll see if we can fight over that. Yeah, I don't know what he's gonna say. I'm here. I'm waiting. I don't know what he's gonna say.
But basically shoot that way. Yeah.
Yeah, they're in a 500-year-old English manor home from the 16th century. Oh, I'm sorry. Look at yields. Yields are up to 4.126%. They're just socializing right now at this meeting. And so they're not really doing anything. But look at yields. Yields are up significantly on stronger labor data. At 24/7 level held. Look at 6.5 holding, at least for short term again. Okay, bro. They said they were speaking at 9:20. It is now 9:55. All right, guys, remember, tomorrow, triple witching day. I see we're coming back down under 650 now. AMD rebounding, Intel bouncing still. Yeah, tomorrow's triple witching. We'll see what that looks like. I'm ready for it. kind of quiet to trade. I don't want them to start speaking and just bump my positions in any significant way. So, trying to just be smart and not overly risk anything. All right, so Nvidia is still breaking down. All right, look at that bounce. Still at 650. This is what I was talking about, how sometimes we'll break underneath it and then rip back up. Still waiting for them to speak. All right, here we go. Hold on. Still nothing. Okay. I'll cover it when it starts. I'm waiting here. Waiting. Still nothing. Yeah, 4 times a year we get all 3 major contract types expire same day. This is stock options, index options, and index futures. So like S&P, Nasdaq futures, S&P, Nasdaq options, stock options like Apple, Amazon options. It used to be called quad witching because it used to be 4. We used to have single stock futures, so you'd have like Apple futures and Nvidia futures, but unfortunately we don't no longer have that. I wish we did. That'd be great, but we unfortunately do not anymore. And so, yep, triple witching tomorrow. Yeah, we're very flat right now. AMD's rebounding up almost at 154s as we speak, but yeah, they're still not doing anything. Yeah, I'm waiting here. I'm trying to trade with you guys, but yeah, still not started yet. You know what? I'm just gonna give you guys my link. I think here. Again, check out Top Step if you want to help support the channel. There's no PDT in futures. You can day trade the S&P, Nasdaq, Dow, gold, commodities. A great way to learn how to day trade. I'm probably just gonna sit down here. I'll show you. I'll give you guys one of the feeds I have that I'm watching. Here it is. So if you want to check it out, there's the link right there. That'll cover the speech if you guys want to watch it. Be careful today. We don't know what they're going to say. It might move markets up big. Also, guys, if you want to help support the channel, check out Top Step, a great way to help support the channel. There's no PDT in futures. You can watch the S&P Nasdaq Dow, day trade the S&P Nasdaq Dow. If you lose, you're out $50 for the base one, 100 for the middle one. If you pass it, you get a 90% split, 50K, 100K funded account plus more. A great way to learn how to day trade when most day traders lose. You're still risking something, but it's not the full extent of risking thousands of dollars like most day traders end up doing when they lose their first few accounts. And so it just makes sense. They're a sponsor of mine. I am biased. I get paid by them. So understand all this stuff on screen. I can't guarantee anything. I'm not an investment professional. And yeah, we'll see what happens, guys. Understand all the stuff. I'm sponsored by them. Again, I'm biased, but genuinely useful for traders. Check out the link. It's in the chat right here. I'll put the link up. And with that said, I will probably get out of here. Listen, guys, as soon as we close the stream, it's immediately going to send you to tomorrow's stream. And again, my standards here are I expect you to sit here at your computer the entire time. I'm just joking for liability reasons, but if you're not there, I'm judging you. You know it. If you're not there, I'm judging. So we will see what happens. Hopefully we'll get an update on what they do here, but they're still socializing. It's just taking way too. But yeah, triple witching day tomorrow. Y'all just be careful. I don't know what's gonna happen. And so yeah, y'all be careful. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Be good. Have a great day.